Right, here we go. Sorry, just get this a bit more central for you if I can. So I have done no real preparation for this tutorial, so it might be a little bit more random than usual. And I've got a very messy desk around me as well at the moment. I'm going to have a go at doing something along these lines for the first one. The only prep I've done really is to tear out 3 book pages. If you've seen the other one, when you're making these envelopes with images, because you're going to be folding up, you really need the main part of the image to be sort of central on the page. I want my envelopes to be roughly between 5 and 6 inches wide and about 4 inches deep, but I don't worry too much about that. So I'm going to start this one by just folding up what will be the bottom. And then, because I'm just going to stitch this one as well, just straight down the side, so I'm not going to put any flaps on it, but I am going to leave a little gap here, because if you want to put anything in an envelope, you need a bit of space at the top here. So about 1 inch, and I'll fold that down. And that's going to be the front of our envelope, and it would make sense for me to cut that off on these lines here. So let's do that. Still a bit croaky. And we'll cut this piece off here as well. Could cut this piece off, but I'm going to cover this anyway, so I'm not too worried about that, so let's leave that. Okay, so on the original, I always like to crease my, there we go. On the original I had some Edith Holden down here, and there is a sort of gap there, so I think I'm going to do basically the same again. Got some scraps of Edith Holden here. So let's sort of, I always do this sort of thing by eye, really. So that will go along here, something along those lines. That's probably about right. Like that. Still a little bit, I don't really want it to cover these flowers, so I'm just going to cut that down a little bit more, or at least I don't want it to cover too much of those. So that's better. A bit of gluing paper, and I'm just going to use glue stick to do this. So that's that piece, and then I dressed this up with some labels. So let's see if we can find a nice label, possibly 2 in this case. So that would look quite nice. I could just cut it off and use the tiny bit up there, but I want it to be a bit bigger, so we'll probably go for something like that. Try never to spend too long agonising, otherwise you just faff about, really. the front of the envelope done. This image was from a book called, I haven't got this, called Women of Flowers. Some really nice images in it. And then on the back I had an Edith Holden strip on the back. So again, I'm just going to cut this off. So I'm cutting this as straight as I can. Given that it's Edith Holden, it won't be that straight. I want it to cover this line here, so I'm going to tear it like so, and then that will go, stuck these bits on there, will go on like that. So again, I'm just going to glue that, tear it down slightly. Could ink all the edges. I'm not really inking these at the moment. I've said before, sometimes you need to ink, sometimes not so much. And the other thing that the original had was a ruffle. I'm not going to make a ruffle, but I think I will put some sari trim across here. So I'm just going to go away and find something that will suit, and then I'll be back. So I changed my mind, found some soft green sari silk, and I have ruffled it just with a straight stitch through my sewing machine. I can't unfortunately show you how to do that. I can't get my machine under here to show you how to do that, but there are videos out there. If you just put a sari silk ruffle or something like that, they'll come up. I usually then glue mine in place just lightly. This is using art glitter glue, just because it's easier to sew it if it's anchored. And then for the stitching, what I'll do is stitch across here in a zigzag, and then I'll just go from under here and stitch round, catching these edges in. So I'm going to go and do that, and then I'll be back. So there we are, another pretty envelope. I just stitched, I use zigzag just because I like the way it looks. It does make your space here even smaller, but that doesn't bother me. The ruffle looks pretty around a page. That's how it would look. And I actually really like that one. Very simple design, but seems to work quite well. If you want to stick around, I'll do one more, and then we'll call it a day. So thank you for watching. I won't say too much in this one. So we'll use Edith Holden this time, and I don't really want too much of this bird in. See, I'm already talking. So let's fold that up. And I haven't left much, or haven't got much space left here, so I'm just going to do a narrow flap this time, and I'm going to cut it down a little bit. This time I want to cover this up because obviously I don't want an upside down bird. So let's think how we're going to do that. I would probably choose something like this, choose a poem, an Edith Holden poem. I'd put something plain here to get rid of these words and then put the words underneath. So let's do that. So that will work to cover that up in that way. And then I want something here because it just looks odd. So what colours have we got in here? We've got a very pale pink and a lemon. We could use a strip of lace. That might look nice. So let me go and see if I can find a strip of lace. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished this. It's just the same principle as the last one. So I've stitched some lace across the top here, obviously before I stitched it together. I did ink the edges of this poem and stuck that over the bird, and then added a bit more lace on the flap here just to marry that up and give it a bit more proportion. Before I stitched it together, I found a label. This is from Junk with Steph, and that's just stitched onto the edge or the side here, so it covers up the less interesting part of the image. And then again, I've just zigzagged around here. So, my sewing messed up a bit here at the top, so I've sort of, you know, flattened that out as best I can. It looks fine, nobody would really notice. And again, we've got another envelope that looks pretty around a page. Could cover, I did think about covering this up, but in the end I quite like the plainness of that, and I didn't want any more collage on it. So those are our two envelopes today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.